right. Welcome. Good afternoon. It is Monday, March 13th, 2023. This is Fade to Black Breaking News. All of the news that you need. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's get straight to it on this day in history. 1965. Eric Clapton leaves the Yardbirds. And then he recommended Jimmy Page, who declined. But he recommended Jeff Beck, who accepted. He joined the band. Later, Page would join Beck with a two-guitar attack that lasted just 2 years. And then Page, of course, formed Zeppelin, and Beck, the Jeff Beck group, and Clapton, well, he was just Clapton. On this day in 1965. Let's get to your Fader fact. Fully vetted. I checked it out, actually, today. Here it is. When Lady Gaga went to New York University, NYU, a group of students started a Facebook group about how she would never be famous. Yeah. It was called Stephanie Germanata. You will never be famous. Yeah. It had 12 members. And that is your Fader fact. Let's get into the breaking news. It all went down on Friday. Yep. Silicon Valley Bank, the go-to bank for U.S. tech startups, and this is big news for this community, facing a sudden bank run and capital crisis, collapsed on Friday morning, leaving its high-powered customers and investors in limbo. It was taken over by federal regulators. It was the largest bank failure of a U.S. bank since Washington Mutual in 2008. That's right. Last Wednesday, SVB announced it had sold a bunch of securities at a loss and that it would also sell $2.25 billion in new shares to shore up its balance sheet. That triggered a panic among key venture capital firms who reportedly advised companies to withdraw their money from the bank. The bank's stock began plummeting Thursday morning, and by the afternoon, it was dragging other bank shares down with it as investors began to fear of the repeat of the 2007-2008 financial crisis. By Friday morning, trading in SVB shares was halted, and it had abandoned efforts to quickly raise capital or find a buyer. California regulators intervened, shutting the bank down and placing it in receivership under the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. HSBC in Britain has scooped up the UK arm of failed Silicon Valley Bank, securing the future of thousands of British tech firms that hold money at the lender. Had a buyer not been found, SVB UK would have been placed into insolvency by the Bank of England following the stunning collapse of SVB in the United States. Bank stocks teetered but held on their gains by mid-afternoon today as Wall Street considers the U.S. government's plan to keep banks afloat. Crazy times. Whew. All right, check this out. Little change of subject. Because a raft of brown-colored seaweed in the Atlantic Ocean is so vast, it can be seen from space. It spans roughly 5,000 miles, about twice the width of the United States. The thick blanket of sargassum floats between the Gulf of Mexico and the shores of West Africa. There, it can choke corals, wreak havoc on coastal ecosystems, and diminish water and air quality as it rots. Scientists say this bloom is one of the largest on record, stoking fears of seaweed invasions of beaches in the coming weeks and months. Last summer, the U.S. Virgin Islands declared a state of emergency after unusually high quantities of sargassum caused water shortages on St. Croix. Other impacts to human health are coming into focus. As the seaweed rots, it releases hydrogen sulfide, which can cause respiratory problems for tourists and residents. There you go. There's a movie. There's a movie here. Researchers now say they have created a superconducting material that works at both temperature and pressure low enough to actually use it in practical situations. It reaches a breakthrough that scientists have been chasing for more than a century in making a material that is able to transmit electricity without resistance and pass magnetic fields around the material. Now, its discovery could lead to power grids that are able to seamlessly transmit energy, saving up to 200 million megawatt hours that is currently lost to resistance. It could also contribute to nuclear fusion, a long-awaited process that could create unlimited power. Other applications include high-speed hovering trains and new kinds of medical equipment, all of this from the researchers. But for transparency, a team led by the same scientist, Ranga Diaz, previously reported the creation of two slightly less breakthrough but similarly superconducting materials and papers that were published in Nature and Physical Review letters. The Nature paper was eventually retracted by the journal's editors amid questions over the scientist's approach. I will keep you posted. All right. On March 1st, 2023, NASA's Juno spacecraft flew by Jupiter's moon Io, coming to within 51,500 kilometers, that's about 32,000 miles, of the innermost and third largest of four moons. The stunning new images provide the best and closest view of the most volcanic moon in our solar system since the New Horizons mission flew past Io and the Jupiter system back in 2006 on its way to Pluto. In its extended mission, Juno has now orbited Jupiter 49 times and is on course to study several of Jupiter's moons. This latest flyby of Io was the third of 9 flybys of the volcanic moon over the next year, with the first coming back in December of 2022. An upcoming flyby, check this out, next year on February 3rd, 2024, will come as close as 930 miles. Absolutely incredible. All right. Now I'm going to leave you with this. Last week, on March 7th, researchers from the Heilongjiang Fishery Research Institute in China announced they have been able to create and breed carp without any intermuscular bones. That's right. Boneless fish. Unlike the United States, in China, carp are considered good eating. Here in the States, we just throw them back in the water. It's a tradition, and it's probably going to stay that way. Boneless fish. Yum. That's it. That's all your Fade to Black breaking news that you need for this Monday, March 13th, 2023. Fade to Black breaking news is produced by Renee Newman. I'm Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Teppy.